Have you ever felt paralyzed by fear or felt an incredible lack of motivation? What if I told you that the solution lies within our own brain chemistry? Welcome to an exploration where fear meets motivation in an unexpected, fascinating intersection that could change your life. Today, Dr. Andrew Huberman, a renowned neuroscientist and Stanford professor, is going to unlock the power of your mind.
We don't often think about motivation and fear as in the same breath or the same sentence. We are accustomed to thinking about the fact that when we're afraid of something, we can freeze up. But really, motivation and fear are in the same pathway. And believe it or not, they're in the same chemical pathway. So the only way to talk about motivation is to talk about the molecule dopamine. Dopamine is known for its feel-good properties. We think, a dopamine hit, or, it feels so good, a rush of dopamine. But dopamine's main role in the brain and body is craving, motivation, and pursuit. Okay? And in the absence of dopamine, we don't feel motivated. I'll describe in a moment a classic experiment that illustrates this beautifully. But dopamine's main role is to make us feel motivated and to crave things. Okay? And the interesting thing is that dopamine is the chemical, it's the molecule from which another molecule is made called epinephrine. And epinephrine has another name, which is adrenaline. So to untangle all that, basically, craving and desire is the foundation of stress and fear. And people think, how could that possibly be? Well, stress and fear comes from adrenaline. So the way to think about this in a kind of real world context is that when we are afraid of something, we have one of three responses. We can either remain still, we can retreat, or we can move forward. All three of those require some increase in our level of activation. And the molecule adrenaline, also called epinephrine, I probably will use those interchangeably, so it really doesn't matter, adrenaline, epinephrine. That is what's responsible for getting us moving. It's also responsible for our sense of fear and paralysis in fear. So if people are feeling that they're not motivated or as motivated as they would like to be, there's a key step that people need to take, which is to start focusing on the craving aspect and dopamine. Because if you can make enough dopamine, you can motivate, you can actually crave moving through challenge. So we can talk about how to do that. But just to underscore how powerful this relationship is between motivation and dopamine, there was an experiment that was done. It's been done in rats, but it's also essentially been done in humans through naturally occurring things, where basically if you put a rat next to a lever with some juice or even with something really, really good that a rat likes, they will press that lever for that delicious tasting thing. And they get pleasure from it. But if you take a rat and you deplete it of dopamine and you move that lever one rat length away, it won't even move one length of its own body, right? A few inches to hit that lever. And people are the same way. You can still experience pleasure without dopamine, but you won't get up off your couch. You won't challenge yourself to go talk to somebody you want to talk to. You won't apply for a job. You won't pursue the new fitness protocol, etc. So dopamine is about craving of pleasure. It's not pleasure itself. And fear comes from this pathway, right? This pathway of dopamine into epinephrine. And the way to think about fear is it's just one other dimension of motivation. And we can talk more about that. But if people are living in fear, it is absolutely essential to understand that developing some sense of craving, even if it feels scary, wanting something but being afraid to pursue it, that's the trigger for these molecules to start being released and to move towards it. But we've all sort of been told or conditioned that if we feel fearful, that that's a sign that we should back away or stand still. And biologically, that's just not true. So if people are feeling paralyzed in fear, or they are feeling as if they, are unmotivated, it's absolutely essential that they identify some kernel, some little bit of something that draws them forward. And if they feel that agitation, the kind of elevated heart rate, the anxiety, a little bit of sweating, this kind of thing, just imagining that they want that thing, that's great. Those are the molecules that I'm talking about starting to kick into gear. But for some reason, most people start feeling those sensations and they start freezing up or backing away.